So you can get an Instant Pot, or you can get any other kind of,
This is the way I make it because I have an Instant Pot. There are so many YouTube videos that teach you how to do it in your oven and yet you have to keep it when you're soaking the beans, you're cooking the beans and you're fermenting the beans. To ferment the beans, you can use anything to soak and cook the beans, but once they're hot, you've got to get the starter in it and then you've got to keep it at about 100 degrees for 24 hours. That's the process.
So really what you're doing is
Yeah,
you're
we
getting
probably
the
need
bean
her sitting there
active,
so when she speaks.
and you're sanitizing it, and then you're putting in the
Well, you're making it
Debbie,
edible
do you
by
want to come up front here and just
Because then
stand
your
while I
mic,
run
she can
this?
do
Yeah,
it,
you can
please.
answer questions that way.
Yeah, because you've been doing the research on
Take a
it.
chair.
No, I don't
She doesn't
want
want to do it.
Okay, I will.
come on down.
I can't really see it. Okay. So this is just the items that I gathered. I watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos and tried it a few different ways, and I just simplified it for myself. And I've done this at least 8 or 10 times. I've never had a fail, honestly. And I've watched a lot of videos that make you feel like, oh, this might not work. But I've never had a fail. So anyway, this is how I've simplified it with an Instant Pot. But you don't have to have one. There are other ways to do it. Find a video that tells you how to do it without Instant Pot. Obviously, because the Japanese were making it before Instant Pots and pressure cookers. So. Okay, so I use an Instant Pot with a strainer that has feet on the bottom. Because the strainer just makes it simple. I put the bean, anyway.
And we'll
Strainer
show
with
that.
feet in the Instant Pot, a big spoon, a clean, thin washcloth, ice cube trays, container to store the natto in, frozen retail natto beans for starter, your pure water, your soy or I use soy or garbanzo beans, and I buy the non-GMO organic beans. So
And you
that's
buy them, when you buy them, they're just a dry bag?
they're just the dry bag.
So,
And I found them on Amazon.
Okay.
and then you can see she just rinses them here.
I measure out 2 cups, I put them in that strainer basket, I rinse them, and then I stick that strainer basket in the Instant Pot liner pot and cover them with pure water. But now I'm telling you the process anyway, without the pictures. Use a strainer fits, put it in and make sure that it's well covered because beans soak up a lot of water. They'll double inside. So I said 4 or 5 cups, but make sure once you have it in the pot that you've got a good amount of water over the top of it so when they swell they can keep absorbing all of the water. Because that helps get rid of the phytates too, and anyway.
All right, so after soaking,
This is what you watch me do. After soaking the beans, drain them and rinse them and put about 1.5 cups, 2 cups of water in the bottom of the Instant Pot.
and then put the soaked beans in the strainer back in the pan.
Yes,
Or the pot.
exactly. I just take that strainer and put it back in the pot, put the lid on, turn it on.
And remember, you saw her put the cloth and the spoon in there to sterilize it.
You can boil that if you want to. You don't have to put it in there.
It's an extra
Saves that
step.
Exactly.
Why
not?
An extra pan.
I just like things simple.
Yeah,
So,
so,
anyway, so that's what I
and then you said something about not covering all the way over around
That's
the
the
beans.
next step.
Oh, okay.
That's the next
All
step.
right. And then you set that for 40 minutes.
Yep, I cook the beans for 40 minutes. You need to check your bean and make sure that it's cooked all the way.
Squishes.
You don't want it mushy, but you want it so that when you squish it, or I just stick it in my mouth and chew it. If it's chewable, it's
You can see
it's
here
good.
the picture, she's got
good.
And if it isn't cooked all the way, if it isn't cooked soft enough to be able to smush it, turn on the Instant Pot again and cook it for 5 more minutes till it's. You just don't want it mushy. But
Yeah.
you do want it edible because you're going to be eating it. And okay, so that's a picture of the natto that I had at the time. I brought some more to show you.
Because that's the starter.
That's what you're going to use to get it started. And there's a lot of controversy about whether you have to keep buying this starter or whether you can use your own once you've fermented
Yeah,
yours.
yeah.
I've done both.
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't make sense that you
it's
can't
sourdough.
use.
Same
It's
thing.
like sourdough. It's like yogurt. It's like
Kombucha.
like
Once you have the starter, you're good.
sauerkraut. Once you've
Yeah.
got the starter, That's my personal opinion, but you'll find a lot of people who say, oh no, you've got to get a professional start.
I think you have to protect it from other bacteria getting in from the air.
Absolutely.
If you keep that kind of protected, you're probably safe.
You've got to keep it, you've got to keep other bacteria out of it, but the Saccharomyces boulardii is so strong and it overtakes most things. It's really easy to grow. So, and that's the one thing that Tammy was talking about, the one probiotic that she was talking about. It takes over.
I got a question. Why do the Japanese and what other nations have this, and why?
The Japanese are the
She was
only ones,
saying-
and they have a folklore story that said way back in the day they were feeding horses soybeans, cooked soybeans, and war came upon them, and they packed up these soybeans into some rice straw, and took it with them wherever they went. And when they got where they were going, these soybeans were slippery and slimy, and they decided to feed them to the horses anyway, and they got magical stuff from it. So
They started flying?
That's where the
Yes.
unicorns came from.
I don't know.
They just want healthier horses,
I
obviously.
want a unicorn.
But it's so much in their tradition that they usually eat it every morning.
Every morning, yes. That's
And
what they do.
as they become Americanized, they have stopped, but their health benefits have diminished.
Yeah.
So the older ones that eat it every day is so healthy. Yeah. And then you can tell us of the health benefits because you
Well,
researched it. But keep going.
We've been talking about the health benefits.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I sent, if you put in health benefits of nattokinase and Google it, you're gonna get so many things. And I just put one link in the email that Colette sent out that covers a lot of them. But if you wanna know if it's gonna help with your nephew's brain problems, or Google it.
I'm gonna
There's
send this PowerPoint
government-
to you guys.
PubMed has all kinds of stuff about what nattokinase. There's, you can find it really easy.
So I'll send that, I'll send some links, and I'll send the actual written recipe today, so.
Great.
And then,
We're gonna do these next steps right now, but
But show us. Do you want to show us up front so she can film it? Because I think people off camera would
well,
love to
so
know.
let me finish
right
this.
here,
Okay, finish this
I'm
one.
gonna show you over
So,
there.
okay.
What do you mean show us?
Well, could you put it here so that
The beans?
they could see it? Yeah.
I have.
Well,
okay,
no, let's just
okay.
quickly finish this. Okay, so she takes the juice.
You keep a little bit of the liquid from the bottom. I take about a half a cup of the liquid from the bottom and drain it after the beans are cooked, because you're gonna, okay.
And then you keep the spoon on the lid to keep
And
it
to
sterile.
keep it sterile, I put the spoon and the cloth on the lid that I've just taken off, because it's still hot and sterile.
Okay.
Okay.
And, okay.
And then there's her starter.
That's the nattokinase. I brought it to show you. And some people cut it up in 9 sections and just use a ninth of that cube. I wanted to have a good amount of beans, so I cut it in quarters, and I just.
And then you put it back in the
This is
freezer
the starter.
to use it another time.
Right, so you can
Okay.
cut it in 9, or you can cut it in 4 or 6, but at least a ninth of a piece that you get in the freezer. I
So
cut
then
it-
you handle your sterile spoon with it.
Right,
Yeah.
well, you need a clean knife to cut that. And I use hypochlorous acid, which is like the hyporedox, only it's some I make.
Just make sure there's no other bacteria
Right,
in your
I
beans.
spray my knife, you just,
Okay.
okay. So then you put that, is the next picture. You
See how she
that
drops?
cube- I just dropped that cube in there, and then I put a few spoonfuls of my water that was left over,
Oh.
and stir it. And
That's what the fluid's for.
The beans need to be hot when you do this. That strain will not die with heat. It does well up to 100 degrees. So you put your little cube in, you put some water in, you stir it. You do not want to have water puddling in the bottom of your pot. You want to just have the beans nice and moist. The beans need moisture, and they also need to breathe, but not too much air and not too much
So at this
water,
step, they're
so-
out of the strainer now, and they're actually
Yes,
just
they've
sitting in
been
the
dumped,
pot.
the beans have been
Okay.
dumped into the pot. I've done it both ways. I've done it in the strainer all the way through, and I've done it in the pot. I like it better in the pot. So this is what I used. I found a really thin washcloth that was almost worn out. And
What
I-
about a
just
piece
like
of cheesecloth?
cheesecloth, if it would keep, yeah. You don't want water dripping from the,
Lid?
from the lid while it's processing into the beans, so you need it a little bit thick.
Oh, okay, okay.
But
A handkerchief?
a handkerchief
Handkerchief is
would
good, or
probably
a
work.
dish
But a
towel.
napkin might do it.
Just a
Oh,
washcloth.
linen napkin.
Just, you don't want anything real heavy, because you want it to be able to breathe still. And if you read the online tutorials about how to do it without an Instant Pot, they're using saran wrap, and they're putting 2 layers, and they're poking holes in the saran wrap. So I don't like saran dripping
No, that's,
into my.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that's why I came up with this, and I think from the second video I shared, and you saw I left a little, I folded it so there was a little bit of an edge
Mm-hmm.
showing so that the air could go through.
Okay.
I don't know if this
This
is
is
important or
good.
not, this is what I do.
Thank you.
So then,
Then you just set your Instant Pot, you push yogurt, and you set it up to 24 hours. And when it starts counting, it will drop back down to 0, and it will tell you how many hours it's been cooking. So when I unplugged mine this morning, it was at 22 hours. So when I got here, I plugged it back in for 2 more hours. But you don't need to mess with it, you don't wanna be opening up and looking, cause obviously that's gonna add bacteria. This is the time when you want that strain to get really, really strong and not have any other kind of bacteria take it over, if that makes sense.
you added that picture, I didn't know what
Oh, yes,
beneficial.
so before I put the lid on, I take the ring out, the silicone ring that's on your Instant Pot, for 2 reasons. 1, to let air circulate, and 2, because a lot of people say, well, it's really stinky stuff, you guys, it's stinky. Your ring will smell like the, like
Oh, well,
the-
it'll
It will
absorb
still-
that.
So
It will
it's
still
not.
seal, okay?
2 reasons to take.
Without-
Well,
it
if
does
it's the
not-
yogurt.
It doesn't need to seal.
It's
So you
for the
don't
yogurt
close the
setting.
vent, and I take the seal off.
You're not trying to pressurize it.
Okay.
You're just fermenting now.
Okay.
So the yogurt setting holds it at about 100 degrees for as long as you set it. It'll go longer.
Okay.
So, okay.
Okay.
Was there anything else?
Ew.
And that's what it's gonna look like. I have a pot that's ready for you
Okay,
to
but
look at.
after this, now it's open, right? Now other bacteria can get into it. So you've stirred it up, you see the stringing, which is the classic Nattokinase look.
The strings are where the magic is in the beans are good for you too, but the strings.
Robin, you have to eat it all right then.
I do like it. No, but you had a ice tray.
Yes.
So then do you just put chunks in the ice tray to freeze?
So
Look at-
the next thing is, sometimes when I've made it, and I've looked this up and nobody really knows why, but sometimes it will smell so strong of ammonia and taste really strong of ammonia, like, so they say put it in the refrigerator and just let it sit for 2 to 3 days. When I do that, it calms down that ammonia. And then I put it in the ice cube trays and put it in the freezer and make
So do you leave it
individual-
open, or do you cover it, or
The
what,
ice
in
cube
your
tray?
fridge?
In the fridge.
In the
Oh, in the
fridge.
fridge it needs to be covered,
Yeah,
yes.
'cause
Okay,
Put it
so
in
saran
there
wrap or
clean.
tin foil,
Well,
or,
I'll show you the container.
Oh, okay.
I brought
all right.
to put it in.
Very
So,
clean.
Was that confusing? Did that make sense?
So you put it in the refrigerator for 2 or 3 days. You aren't worrying about it spoiling because
No.
it's
It
a
doesn't
fermented
have
product.
to be frozen. This last batch that I made, I've been all over the country in the last month, and I just took it with me in a Ziploc bag, and I didn't freeze it ever. I
You just
took
kept
a
it
spoonful out.
refrigerated, and then you
Yes,
just took
I kept
a.
it refrigerated, and
Okay.
they freeze it because they don't know how long it's gonna be before you get it to you,
Right.
and,
Helen, your hand up first.
oh,
Oh,
sorry.
no, I was taking pictures.
Oh, okay. Well, my question is, how do you make your start, or?
You buy it, the starter.
You initially start, I'll show it to you, we're gonna do that right now. You initially start with a frozen store-bought sample, or
Oops, did I go the wrong way?
serving of
So
the
once you start
Nattokinase.
building, putting.
So that's-
That's another start, or?
You can use your, well, I'm not gonna say that because
But you
everything I
have,
read on.
and it's worked.
I can use my own and start it, and it works great. And to confuse the issue even more, I watched a video of a Japanese guy who said, you don't have to have Nattokinase to start Nattokinase. You can go outside and cut a piece of peppermint off, strip the leaves off, boil that stem of peppermint, and then stick it in there and it will ferment. And I've done that.
And it came out
And it came
Nattokinase.
out.
Oh,
So
wow.
here's another thing that I've learned. The first time I made it, my strings were really weak. There weren't a lot of the strings. And the more I make it, the stronger my strings get. just like any other fermentation, those bacteria get into the air in your kitchen. And they make your fermentation stronger. They make it.
It's not as delicate as we make it out
No,
to be.
it's not delicate, but and it gets stronger and stronger the more you do sourdough in your kitchen. All those spores are hanging around in your kitchen. If you make sauerkraut, all those spores are mixing into your kitchen, and yogurt, all those things.
I make kombucha, and the more I make it, the better it becomes.
Right.
Exactly.
So that's what I found with this. The very first time I was like, oh, there's a few strings, but nothing slimy like I get now.
Cool.
So, okay.
Yay.
Thank you. All right, so let's go over, we can taste or we can watch or.
Okay.
So you can see that it's slimy and sticky, and then I'm gonna open this Instant Pot. Well, this has been releasing for quite a while. So I put my lid right here. I've sprayed my hands and washed my hands, so I'm taking the spoon and the washcloth out. You can see the beans are cooked, and I'm gonna take them out of here. The beans are cooked. I should probably taste one and make sure. Or squish it. Oh yeah, they're good. So I'm going to take this out and put a little bit of water in this cup right here. So I have a few spoonfuls to make it. They're really dry. I can, by tasting them, I know I'm going to have to add some water. The rest of the water can just go down the drain.
Oh, that's not very much at all.
All that good water?
All that good, I know.
Can you
Should
store
drink
it?
But today, this is what we're doing. I should have given it to you, Lawrence. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Now I'm gonna take this and dump the beans back into the pot. I have done it just putting it back into, I have done it within that too. I'm gonna take these, take my spoon and get my starter, put it in the beans.
So you actually used a half of one of those, didn't you?
Well, I had already used a quarter of it
Okay.
before, so I just took a chunk. You know, when they say cut it in ninths or cut it in fourths, I'm going to put all of this in because this looks, and these beans are pretty hot, and you can see I'm just stirring it until that thaws.
It's well contaminated.
So I'm.
Did you already put in what was in the packet?
Yes,
in it? Okay.
I already
so-
put
and the
that.
juice,
That's what I'm.
okay.
That's why I'm stirring it.
Okay.
That piece is still in there, so I'm going to keep stirring
But it was
until
frozen,
it's
so now
coating,
it's
until it's on all the beans. And it's so slippery and slimy, you'll know that it's on all the beans. I still see the chunk in there, so I'm going to keep stirring until I get it. And I'm even starting to see a few strings on the beans, that I just
Oh,
cooked.
you're right about the smell.
Yeah, exactly. It's getting to us.
Okay, so that's it.
Quick.
Then I'm gonna put it back in the pot. I'm gonna take out my ring. I'm gonna fold this so that it's just sitting across the top.
And it's dry, right?
Well,
It went through the top.
So it's not like you
it's
wet it
damp
before
right
you
now.
put it back in.
I've done both.
Right,
It
so it's
doesn't
damp
matter.
probably.
Why did you put that?
So it doesn't smell.
Put
Because the
what?
plastic
So
will
this won't,
absorb
first
the
of all, it lets air
Okay.
circulate in, and second of all, then this won't stink like the beans. And then you just put the lid on, close it, and I don't know how to use my sisters, but you push
Or
yogurt,
yogurt.
and I don't,
Is there a ferment or?
I can show you on mine.
Yogurt's
Mine-
100.
Okay,
Is
so
yours the older one or the newer one?
mine's the older pot.
I have the old one, so you just push the ogre button on mine and you get 8
So
hours.
yeah, I'm gonna just show you on mine. It's been going for an hour and 50 minutes since I got here. I restarted it, but I started it last night, or yesterday morning. So when I unplugged it this morning, it was at 22 hours. And when I got here, I just set it for 2 more hours. Because when you unplug it, it stops the timer. So I'm gonna stop the timer now.
What if you just put the pot from this one back in your pot? Take that pot out and put it in yours.
Yeah, you could do
and
that.
set yours.
Just switch the.
because you
I'm
know
just,
how to
well,
program yours.
I'm gonna take this home and cook it anyway, so, just so you see what I'm doing. Cause I'm not leaving this here for 24 hours.
Right.
You don't mean cook it, you mean
Fermented,
Fermented.
sorry, fermented. So I'm gonna just show you how on mine, there's a yogurt setting right here, and I'm just gonna push the yogurt button, and then push the timer plus until it gets to 24. And when you set it at 24,
I wonder if mine will do that.
and then it sits by itself, it's gonna take the 24 off and it'll go back to 0. And it will tell, so every time you look at this screen, it's gonna tell you how long it's been
And does
fermenting.
it beep, yeah, it beeps when it goes to
Is
zero?
that 24
It beeps when it
minutes?
starts
or-
and beeps
24
hours.
hours. That's why I said, it takes a day and a half to make it. Half a day to soak it and a whole 24 hours to so. So I'm just, that's how you set it to yogurt, but, so pretend I did that to this instant pot. Now I'm taking the lid off, and here you go, the great reveal. Let me see if I can show. So I'm taking my, put that in the sink. Can you smell the ammonia? There you
Then we get
go.
plus-
And see the white film on it? That means, yeah, that's good stuff.
You can't see
And
it.
then-
I don't have the right glasses to see it. Oh, yeah.
And you can
There
smell,
it is,
too.
yeah.
And then you can put it in a plastic container, it looks like. what-
So now I'm gonna stir it.
With your
Scissors.
sterile
Let me
spoon.
give, where's my,
Science is coming.
well, anytime I think I might have contaminated something, I just spray it with my hypochlorous acid.
That's genius.
And hypochlorous acid does not kill good bacteria. That's another
Wow.
fantastic thing about it. Okay,
Oh, ooh, it looks like Rice Krispie treats.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you need to do.
I came from Rice Krispie
Now
I can see it.
Now you can see it. Sorry, I didn't mean, I was trying to show those guys.
Yeah.
That's okay.
All right, that's it.
Now we want to
And
test
then
it.
how much
Do you
do
have the
you
little
eat
cups?
a day?
And
Now he's
so I put it in
I want
the
it.
ice cube trays.
You eat
Oh,
the
there's
whole
the
ice
little
cube?
cups over there.
First, this goes into the refrigerator if you want to get rid of some of that obnoxious ammonia. This one is not a bad one. This one honestly doesn't smell bad at all. So I just
No,
put
it's
it in a
kinda
container
refreshing.
like this.
Opens up your sinuses a little bit.
And they say, some people say you need to sterilize this too. You
Must
can
have
if you
a
want.
clogged drain, and I might
But
do
in the
that.
refrigerator, it's not gonna grow bacteria.
Yeah.
So,
Slow it down.
2 to 3 days if you want to.
Okay,
And then,
cubes.
then I take it and put it into the ice cube trays and I eat a
Cube a day?
A
whole
cube a
cube.
day.
Oh, okay.
Ooh,
Awesome.
frozen?
It's not scientific at all. What?
When do you eat it?
Right before I go to bed.
Because you're supposed
So
to. put it on
after you brush your
I have to
Really,
put
that
a thing
enzyme
on my
works on your
pillow.
body.
No, I brush my teeth.
After you take it,
I
you
have
brush
to
your
put a
teeth?
thing on my pillow that says, "Did you eat your natto?" Because I forget if
And
I
you
don't
just
do that.
chew on it frozen?
I just stick it in my mouth and chew it up. It's medicine to me. I'm not
yeah.
eating
No, but like
it
what she
because I
said is-
enjoy it.
Did you freeze it or?
Yes, it's frozen.
Eat it frozen?
So I've eaten it both ways. Like I said, this month I've just been eating it out of my plastic bag that's been in a refrigerator. But if it's tastes less if you eat it frozen.
Okay, you too.
Oh, okay. How much?
So when you travel, you just
Is that
put,
in a regular store?
I'm gonna let you guys taste this. We
got the little
we
right
have,
here.
We have cups that you can
So if
taste
you put it
it.
on a salad, that's not gonna help.
I've tried it on a
because-
It will make
salad.
the whole salad
I've
nasty.
tried putting other things in it. I've tried the mustard and my own good mustard and soy sauce. I haven't found anything. One lady that the video I sent you, she said, I love it with avocado. So I tried them. I'm like, I'm ruining the avocado. just stop trying to make it taste good.
it just
Did you buy this in a regular store or do you know
Asian, I've looked so many places. The only place I could find it was a dollar store. So then I just close this back up and stick it in the freezer until
Yeah, cause I
I'm making some more, or you can use this as your starter.
spoon to.
But you can use one of your own ice cubes to do a start, right? A starter.
Yes, well, I have.
Yeah.
They say you have to use the store-bought stuff.
Are you talking?
Okay, how many
tiny bit.
how many people want to taste it?
I like it. I kinda.
That one's mine.
Oh, sorry. See the string?